It's errand day, but it's not like your usual errand day. It's your day with your mom who has dementia. You love your mom, and she loves going with you, but you're already feeling anxious because at this stage in your mom's memory loss, you just don't know what to expect. Whether it's a grocery store, a family gathering, or even the doctor's office. When your mom doesn't quite act like she used to, or dad begins to get agitated, it's difficult. It's heartbreaking. And it can leave you not only feeling overwhelmed and anxious, but also like maybe you should just stay home. I'm your host, Valerie Lynn, and not only are you doing one of the hardest jobs, but it can sometimes lead to isolation, not just for your loved one, but for you.
Welcome to Desperately Seeking Senior Living, a podcast for sons, daughters, grandkids, spouses, and all caregivers who suddenly find themselves tangled in the search for senior living and care. If you like today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and check out our doable download in today's show notes for a printable summary of the show and a bonus tip.
You're listening to our doable tips, short answers to your questions. Don't see your question listed? Send us a note. Then don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an answer. Hi, and welcome to the show. I hear from so many of you who are caring for a parent or spouse with Alzheimer's or dementia. You're doing your absolute best, day in and day out. Your care is amazing. You're doing one of the hardest jobs. And so often you share that you look at your mom with a smile on your face, and as soon as she turns away, your tears well up. Your overwhelming and heartbreaking circumstances can be difficult to navigate, and they can leave you feeling a sense of isolation and aloneness. And that can be detrimental to you and your ability to continue this important work that you're doing, caring for your loved one. In fact, we very often see the caregiver get sicker than the one they're caring for. In this episode, we're going to talk about one specific aspect of the caregiving journey, and it's often one where we see caregivers start to think about moving mom or dad into a memory care setting. And that's how to manage those difficult moments out in public, where your loved one's cognitive decline causes reactions from others. It can become scary, especially if your loved one becomes combative. This can be so anxiety producing and even messy. First of all, you are not alone. And this episode isn't about adding more guilt to your plate either. If you are staying home because it works for you, then that is okay, and that's what you should do. This episode is about strategies for getting back out there and helping you care for you. So let's talk about dementia in public. For many caregivers, taking mom or dad out into the world can be daunting. You may worry that mom will say something inappropriate, become anxious, or make others feel uncomfortable. And these situations can be unpredictable and overwhelming. One of my clients, we'll call her Susan, shared a story with me. She had taken her mom out to lunch. This was a simple thing, something that they love to do. But during this meal, her mom became disoriented and she started asking to go home and then became upset when Susan was saying, "Mom, we just ordered our food. We can't leave yet." Susan felt all of the eyes of everyone in the restaurant on her, and she wanted nothing more than to just leave. The anxiety and the stress of trying to calm her mom down while feeling judged by all these strangers left her questioning if she'd ever be able to take her mom out in public again. Cousins Jody and Alicia of the Caregiver Club share their experiences with outings in episode 43. Alicia's dad suffers from FTD, which is frontotemporal lobe dementia. You may have heard about this type of dementia because it's been in the news. This is the same dementia that Bruce Willis suffers from. For Alicia's family, they had to come up with a plan for outings because her dad was always on the go. He was so active and he wanted to go out to eat, and she wanted to give that to him. So, for as long as it was safe to do so, they would go out to restaurants. But it wasn't easy. Her dad would order things he couldn't have or ask the same questions of the waiter and waitresses over and over again. And Alicia found herself spending most of the meal pulling waitresses aside to reorder the food and explain the situation. Alicia's cousin Jody's dad wanted to go out too, but he was the caregiver. He was the caregiver for her mom, and her mom wasn't safe at home alone. So if he wanted to go out, he had to take her with him, and it wasn't always easy. In both of these situations, they created cards to hand out to people they encountered with little sayings like, "Don't worry, you're going to get a great tip," or "Thank you for your patience. My loved one has dementia." These cards even helped Jody's dad navigate the airport with her mom and led to the creation of Alicia and Jody's company, the Caregiver Club, and their professional communication cards. I'll put more information on all of that in show notes. Judgy looks, confused or impatient waiters and waitresses. It's no wonder you might start to avoid taking your loved one out altogether. But here's the thing, you both still deserve to enjoy life outside the house. You both still should experience those moments together, making those memories. So, how are you supposed to do this in a way that feels manageable? First, set realistic expectations. Going out with your mom might not look like it used to, and that's okay. Keep outings short to places where you both feel comfortable. Choose familiar locations, places where there's a quiet corner, an easy escape route, or where people already know you and your situation. Second, about that escape route, have a plan. And bring those calming items, whether it's a favorite song you can have ready on your cell phone, or a favorite snack, a soft blanket. And if you sense agitation coming, know your options. Try the calming item or a change in scenery by maybe stepping outside for some fresh air or having that quick exit strategy so that you don't feel trapped. And then use a communication tool like the cards that I mentioned. Don't be afraid to communicate with the people around you. Consider ordering those cards. And I'll put a link in show notes to those because there are so many options out there. You could even make your own. And this way, if a stranger or the waiter or the cashier looks judgmental, don't hesitate to hand them a card that says, "My mom has dementia," or "My dad has Alzheimer's. Thank you for your patience." You might actually be surprised how many people have gone through something similar and may even respond with compassion. I hope so. On a side note, resist the urge to pull someone aside and say this to them or to say it out loud in front of your loved one, because this could trigger your loved one becoming suspicious, questioning, or even argumentative. And I know that this sounds easier said than done. And even listening to this episode, you might start to feel a little anxious at the thought of taking your loved one out of the house again, and you might want to just stay home. And again, that's okay. But that brings us to caregiver isolation. One of my clients, Desiree, was caring for her mom in her mom's home. She called me at the suggestion of her mom's doctor, who had seen how overwhelmed Desiree was becoming. Her mom had mid to late stage Alzheimer's and was not safe alone. Desiree shared with me that although she lived nearby, she hadn't been to her own home in months. She had become a live in caregiver for her mom. Desiree's role as a caregiver had become isolating. Her brother was supportive, but he lived out of town, so she didn't have much help on a day to day basis. She was constantly exhausted and emotionally drained. And I wasn't surprised at all that her mom's doctor had recommended she get help. You could physically see how exhausted she was. She had also stopped seeing her friends. She had stopped doing all the things that she once loved to do. She felt like no one understood what she was going through. And even though she was physically with her mom, she was not physically alone every single day. She felt completely alone, alone, isolated, and guilty for missing her home and her life. I recommended in home care as an option, and Desiree was able to get back part of her life. Eventually, she and her brother moved their mom to an adult family home. Caring for someone with dementia can feel so incredibly lonely. You may start to pull back from social activities, the things that you used to enjoy, and maybe your friends don't understand why. Or you feel like no one else really knows what you're going through. And let's be honest, many of them don't or won't just yet. And that can be really hard. One of the biggest struggles that caregivers tell us about is that people tend to ask how your mom's doing, how your dad's doing. They're not asking how you're doing. And that's something we need to change. Emma Hemming Willis said of her own journey caring for her husband Bruce and their family, when we are not looking after ourselves, we are no good to the people we love, who we want to show up for and take care of. So, how can you make sure you're taking care of you? I think the first step is acknowledging that you are a caregiver. You're not just helping out, you're a caregiver. I think that just opens up the Google search. When you accept your role and see yourself as a caregiver, it allows you to accept caregiver resources. My friend Carrie Alberts, who you know as Dementia Darling, talks about this in episode 105. And it's one of Emma's tips too. Find your community. And this is my first tip. Connect with other caregivers. There's something so powerful about talking to people who get it, people who aren't going to judge you for venting or feeling tired or feeling frustrated. They aren't going to say things like, "What? Dad's not that bad," or "Mom seems fine when I talk to her." And I'm sure you've heard that. Whether it's an in person support group, an online community, or just a friend who's been through it, finding someone to share your experiences with will help you feel less alone. And number two, don't hesitate to ask for help. I can't stress this enough. If there are family members or friends who offer to help, take them up on it. We've talked about this before on the show, and it relates to finding your tribe. Even if they say that generic, "Hey, let me know if you need anything," that counts. Most of us say this because we simply don't know what you need. But get specific with your friends and your family members who ask, and get specific with their gifts. If the friend who loves to bake just asked if you need anything, then they may be the perfect friend to make those cookies you need for your daughter's class. The friend who loves to talk, you know the one. They may be the perfect friend to sit with your mom and chat for a while you take that much needed break. And of course, if it's financially possible, look into respite care or in home care so you can recharge. Third, create small moments of joy. Isolation can make life feel like a grind, but finding little things that bring you joy, even for just 5 minutes a day, can be a lifeline. Okay, I have to pause here because some of my online friends have heard you loud and clear. I'm not naming names here, and I hear you. 5 minutes is an eternity. 5 minutes feels impossible. So, why don't we start with 30 seconds? Let's talk TikTok videos. Okay, you know the ones, the funny cats, the dogs, whatever brings a smile to your face. I'm pretty sure it was Jamie Kern Lima who talks about having a collection of these on your cell phone ready to go when you need them. And Jamie, if it wasn't you, sorry about that, but your book, Worthy, is the only one I'm reading right now. So I think it was you. Either way, even if you can only manage a 30-second TikTok video, that 30 seconds counts as taking care of you. I can't say it enough. Caregiving is one of the hardest jobs, and it is okay to feel whatever you're feeling. And while caregiver isolation is real, you don't have to carry the burden alone. There are communities, resources, and people who want to help. You just have to take that first step in taking them up on their offer. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all of those who have shared their experiences here on Desperately Seeking Senior Living. And if this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend or family member who might need it. And as always, I'm here to support you on your caregiving journey, on your search for senior living and care, and to hopefully help make it a little more doable. And I want to leave you with words from another one of my favorite people, Ty Lewis. She is an advocate for caregivers, a consultant and caregiver to her mom, Gertrude. You may know her online profile, I am Gertrude Jordan. Ty says, every single moment you're devoting to serving your loved one will pay off. I know you can't see it now, but baby, don't faint or get weary. Help is on the way.
Today's episode is brought to you by ClearPath Senior Living Solutions. ClearPath helps families find assisted living, memory care, and other resources. Find our contact information in today's show notes. Check out this episode's doable download in show notes for details, including industry terms and definitions we discussed, as well as a bonus tip. Have questions or your own tips to share? Leave us a message. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, make it doable.